Okay, so we started block 1 and we covered what exactly is human resource planning. So most of the section is all about how exactly forecasting to be done, what is supply demand, what is talent inventory, and all those stuff, which are like pretty long term processes. This particular unit is concentrating on what are those short term programs which human resource planning really required to do. Right, so there are some of the programs or interventions or whatever that you would say they actually conduct. For example, cross cultural training, right? So basically diversity training. So similarly, training people from the point of view of quality, training people from the point of view of anger management, time management, and all those stuff. So these are some of the programs that we will go through one by one. Okay. So now starting with the first program, which is cross cultural training. Right, name itself tells that what exactly cross cultural training is, especially with organizations having now global footprint. People needs to be very well aware of what are the habits, what are the practices, what motivates people in so and so country, how holidaying works, etc., etc. Right. So training people from the perspective of getting them to know about the other cultures is cross cultural training. Okay. So obviously, first thing, you need to identify people whom you need to actually train on the cross cultural aspects. It's not that every employee requires training on cross cultural aspects, right? The people who are going to be exposed to these cross cultures are the ones who need to actually undergo this training. And then you need to put certain goals and carefully design the program based on those particular goals. So this is the systematic step that the cross cultural training would go through. So not just about employees, even managers has to be sensitive about these cross cultural aspects, because we are also talking about managers who are managing international resources, right? I mean, you could have managers who are managing multiple cultures. So some of the successful category, I mean, what are the things that a international manager would really require? The most of the managerial abilities, whatever that you could say, whether it is international or national, are part of whatever the international manager should also possess. For example, he should have leadership skills, whether it is international, national, or local manager, leadership skill is required. He should be able to take the initiative. He should be stable as far as emotions are concerned. He should be motivated. You should actually make team motivated, right? He should be able to handle the responsibility. Only aspect which probably is on emphasis as far as this international manager is concerned is cultural sensitivity. So this goes very, very important as far as an international manager is concerned. Otherwise, rest all are general managerial abilities, which competencies, which any other manager would really require. So what are the goals of cultural cross cultural training? So there are three aspects that this cross cultural training aims at, right? Obviously, it is about teaching somebody about the culture and all those stuff, right? Out of that, what exactly after teaching, what do you expect? First, you are expecting that person, whoever is going to face the other culture, they should be happy and satisfied, right? Suppose somebody is traveling to abroad, so you telling that, okay, yes, you are not going to get rice there, you are going to actually get this one there, or people does have pattern, people would actually say you in this way, etc., etc., would actually prepare himself to adjust there in a better way, right? If he is not exposed, adjustment would become tough. That is personality adjustment. The second one is what is that he is expected to do there, which is professionally effectiveness. So basically how people expects his tasks, duties, etc., etc., right? So what are the kind of things that he's going to do over there? That is professionally effective, like he, how to do things over there. Next is interpersonal skills. Okay, what is that he or she needs to adjust while talking to others? One, personal. Two, professional. three, interpersonal. So these are the three skills a cross-cultural training would actually aim at. Okay, it has got multiple phases. In the first phase, it is focusing on the strengths and abilities needed for that career and whatever the motivational factors that would. So basically, in first phase, you are motivating employees and exciting the employee, saying that boss, you're actually going to so and so country. It is like fantastic, etc., etc. Right. The second phase of cross-cultural training is about knowledge. So you are going to teach them, okay, this is how you need to behave, this is what you are going to get, etc., etc. So the reality of it, how exactly he should perform jobs, which includes even conflict management and all those stuff. So these are the two main phases. So one, you are going to exactly excite the person and make him committed to go there. And the second is tell him the reality that this is what you are going to do there. Right. So those are the two phases. Next, so obviously not just about the person who is going there. You might have to actually train even the spouses and the other family members who might really require to face the uh, new culture. So how typically training programs are designed? Okay, so first level is about culture. So generally you are going to expose things like what would be the cultural aspects, how geography would be, what are the religions that are followed there. So this is the first level of training. The second level of training is on the assignment. So you're going to teach them required technical skills, required things that position or whatever the job that he's going to do. Third level of training is on like basically new location, how exactly the things need to be dealt in the new location. Okay, so that is the third level of training. Fourth level of training, you are going to actually provide assistance. So once he is there, right, you are going to actually assist them or teach them where to get the assistance. Okay, and fifth level is both okay on site. Now come back. So basically, you are going to how exactly re-entry needs to be made to your base location is what you are going to teach. These are the 5 levels. Okay, so now diversity training. So here it is like, see, that is cross cultural. This is a slight variation of it. Here, the managers are generally the ones who would be made aware, even the other staff to some extent. Here, the aim is to actually how to deal with the diversity within your team. You have people from multiple religions, regions, languages, race, gender, and all those stuff. So how to deal with this particular diversity? That is what is the diversity training. Okay, so when it comes to diversity, there are a lot of laws, legislatives, etc., which are governing this, right? So even India does have a lot of laws which actually protects backward, tribal and all those stuff. So one should be aware of those particular laws. They should have like, I mean, most of the laws are aiming towards providing the equal opportunities, right? So you should actually respect those particular laws and behave according to those particular laws. So now, what are the components of the diversity training? So it is actually 4 dimensions. It's called an ASKE. First is attitude. That means your attitude towards various diversities. That is attitude. Two, you need to have skills how to actually communicate. Okay, so how to actually do a teamwork, how you are actually problem solving together, especially from the diversity point of view. Three is knowledge. Knowledge is about these legislations and all those stuff, right? What is the policy? What is the procedure? What are the legislations, etc. Fourth is emotions. So when there are emotions within you and also others, how to manage them. These are the 4 aspects. ASCII is the one, 4 elements of the diversity training. So we completed cross-cultural training. We completed diversity training. Now we are going into apprenticeship training. Okay. So maybe you would have actually, uh, you know, uh, be knowing about this name apprentice, right? So it's very, very prevalent in case of MBBS doctors and all, right? So what exactly it is? It is kind of an on-job training where you're generally what happens in the education when you are actually almost completing the education, like we did our internship. So apprentice is another term or a slight variation of this internship, where you go work in an industry, and industry really provides you an opportunity to actually learn what is the practical things, right, that are going on. So the person who is actually undergoing it are, are somebody who is getting trained. Okay, so it is like sometimes organization does give a basic training before actually going and putting them to the actual job, and there would be a stipend as well which companies generally pay. Okay, so there are few laws which govern these apprentice. So there is something called as Director General of Employment and Training, who actually put together some policies and all those stuff. Okay, so they have policies on how apprentice should happen, and they also mandate industries to provide some apprentice. So industries are mandated to provide under these particular laws. Okay, so responsibility lies within the state government. So basically, they are the ones who would ensure that people have sufficient, opportunities to do this particular apprentice. And the way that typically they do is they formed few laws, and if industries doesn't adhere to these particular laws, they could actually punish them. Okay, so these industries, when they take and have a contract with the apprentice, they are supposed to provide required opportunities. That means they cannot hide their particular policies or anything like that from these apprentice. So it also depends on the contract or the area of work that they take
Praveen, your voice is
apprentice.
breaking.
So I have to repeat apprenticeship.
A little, maybe
So do so
1 minute.
so do I have to so should we go again on the apprenticeship?
No,
So
actually, we can
basically,
actually
this
move
is the
forward. You shared most
okay.
of the basic information about it.
Okay, fine. Then we are going into the next type of short-term human resource planning related exercise, which is training for interim staff. What is interim staff here? Interim staff is somebody who is coming as a contractor, doing a temporary job and going. So they are not permanent staff. Interim staff is not permanent staff for various reasons. Maybe you temporarily got a contractor, or some third party vendor came and helping you on certain things. It could be various things, right? So this is about the training that you provide to those interim staff. Okay, so obviously there are multiple reasons why you get these interim staff, and one of the reason is you want to actually concentrate on certain core competencies and critical aspects of somebody that you would want to give it to the other people, right? So this kind of a thing would be possible even for the HR functions. So even HR could actually give these particular some of the functions that they are supposed to do to the contractors, while trying to stay in a place where okay. So again, starting on the training of interim staff. Okay, so here we are talking about training contractors or a temporary person. So why exactly temporary contractor is needed? Because most of the organizations want to concentrate on their core functions rather than doing the fringe functions. Yes, even those particular fringe or non-core functions or non-critical business activities are required for the organization, but generally your core staff or probably significant permanent staff, you would want to really concentrate on main functions, right? So so even HR for that matter, they would want to actually give away some of those functions to the temporary or interim staff or contractors. Okay, so for the same reason, why? Because they would want to concentrate on the core, and especially after saying so much that HR is a strategic function, they would want to involve more on the strategical aspects, and all the other functions which are still expected by HR, which are not really strategic. So some of the companies or organization look to actually give it to other contractors. Okay, so first, I mean, we talked about various benefits, right? It gives HR to, I mean, strategize, concentrate on core, right? It actually, they, and one more way to look at it is, let's say if there is a particular skill which is missing, so they could actually find a firm who could help them to bridge that skill gap. So they could actually get world class services wherever they feel that they would really require an external help. Even then, the contract, I mean, they might actually give certain critical jobs to contractor as well, right? So, and obviously, they can ramp up, they can ramp down very fast, because when they require, they can immediately find an organization who can help, and at the same time, they could actually remove them when you actually feel the need is met, right? So these are the some of the advantages. So what are the disadvantages in this contracting stuff? Okay, so disadvantages is obviously you are involving third party agency, so you don't want to actually give certain I mean trade level secret related jobs, right? You don't want them to actually know your confidential information. So that is one reason. The second reason is some of the people might actually feel that you would lose control on the situation, because you are actually giving the job to somebody else, you might not be in control on it. So that is the other reason, right? And obviously the advantage is you might actually get better skills and other things whatever that we spoke about. But this is the scenario as far as the interim staff is concerned. Okay, so but in this particular section, ideally it is supposed to talk about how to train an interim staff, but except that it talked about what are the advantages of getting an interim staff, especially in HR scenario, and what are the disadvantages in, and what are the things which are going to hold you up as far as this particular interim staff is concerned. So these are the two aspects that was actually spoken in this particular section. So next thing is team building. Okay, so basically there are I mean there are a lot of things that we talked about as far as team building is concerned. So the same things are here as well. Team is one thing which is very very important as far as any organization is concerned. So they would want the all the employees to work as a team. So there is actually a significant effort that goes in to correct any teaming related problems. There are four such interventions, four main areas of interventions. One is diagnosis. So basically, if something is going wrong, there are diagnosis related interventions that organizations trigger. Second is task accomplishment, how to improve performance of a team as a team, right? And team relationships, how to improve the relationship aspect of the team, and overall team alignment with the organizational goals. So these are the four kinds of intervention areas from the team point of view. Okay, so some of the basically when team would be happy, their particular level of whenever there is a positivity, their level of performance would be much greater than some of the individuals. Basically, it is like team output is just not about 1 plus 2 plus 3 in case if 3 people are there in the team. It is much more than those three individuals. So basically, sum of the performance of a team is greater than some of the individual input. That is what it means. When there is a positivity. Obviously, when there is a negativity, it would actually drag each other's performance. That is a different aspect. But we are talking about a positive synergy within the team. Okay, self-assessment. So when the teams are like self-managing, they self-assess themselves, and members they actually check their own contributions, how well the team is functioning periodically. All those things really happen within the teams. So this is about team building. So what all we covered? We covered first cross-cultural training. Two, we covered diversity training, and then we went into apprenticeship, and we went into interim staff, and then team building. From questions point of view, only two which are important on these particular things that we have spoken. One is cross-cultural training is very, very important. So the things that could be asked is, what is cross-cultural training? What are the goals of cross-cultural training? What are the phases of cross-cultural training? Right, and how you are going to design programs as far as cross-cultural training. These are some of the questions that were asked. And the second question, which is important, is apprenticeship training. Okay. The other things that we talked about, which is interim staff and team building, I don't think it is important. Okay. So now we are talking about the next section, enhancing emotional intelligence in teams. Right. What it says, this section says is emotional intelligence is more important, especially in teams scenario when compared to cognitive ability. So it is not that intelligence which plays the role, it's how you are going to handle emotions plays a bigger role when it comes to a team, right? So because teams tend to be more creative if you collaborate with each other in an unreserved fashion. So basically, if you are selfless, then the integration happens in a much better way. So that is what this section talks about. Okay, now we are going into assertiveness training. Okay, there are questions. So there was no question in emotional intelligence part of it, but there was a question as far as assertive training is concerned. So what is assertive training? Right. So everybody knows what is assertiveness. It is like you telling whatever that you are feeling as it is without hurting the other person. Right. You feeling, you are not holding up your expression. So assertiveness training is nothing but training done to the employees on how to express themselves freely and properly. That is what is the assertive training is. Okay, it is like it gives that sense of control for people. If they can't be assertive, that control would not be felt by the employees. So it is very, very important for emotional health of a person, and also from their ego point of view, that they would be able to tell whatever that they are feeling. Okay, and their self-respect is also maintained. And once they actually tell, the environment should not be in such a way that okay, others started feeling bad, right? So that is about assertive training. So what is the need for assertive training? In short, we spoke about, right? It is going to help to build one's self-esteem and confidence. If you are able to express yourself without holding things, then it is going to improve your confidence. Okay, especially when you are actually giving some negative feedback, this kind of assertiveness is needed. Okay, so it doesn't mean that you are always assertive in all scenarios. You need to know what is the scenario that you need to actually tell, what is the scenario that you need to probably wait for, right? It is not that you are going to actually, in everything and anything instantaneously you throw back. That is not the idea here. Okay, so that is about assertive training. Next comes the voice training. Okay, so this also name says what is voice training. So voice, how you are going to modulate things, how you are going to talk, is what is voice training. Okay, so so voice is one of the very, very important aspect when it comes to the communication, right? If you, depending on your modulation that you have, depending on the posture, depending on where you articulate, lot of things would actually change from the communication point of view. So things that voice training covers: breathing exercise, right? How you are going to keep that calm down, right, instantaneously. What should be your posture? What are the warm up exercises that you need to do when you actually go and talk, before you go and talk? how you need to maintain pitch, how you need to stress things, right? And what kind of environment that you need to actually, maintain. What are the habits that you need to actually do, including you need to actually drink more water, etc., right? And do some exercises. So these are all covered under voice training. So this is also one of the question that was asked. Okay, so but it is very, very simple question. Voice training, name itself gives away what is voice training. Okay, so it also covers exercises like breathing exercise, relaxation exercise, all those stuff. It is also about how to speak in large crowds, large groups, how you should actually maintain pitch, how you should actually modulate things, all those stuff. So obviously, when you start something, beginning and ending are something which are going to be very, very important. How you begin, how you end. Okay, so if even for a typical film, if climax is bad, then obviously your mood while going out would be bad. Negative talk will be easy. So both beginning and end are important. So, and obviously you need to maintain that energy while you are actually speaking. Okay, and you need to pay attention to sentence ending, and you should not really swallow your words and all those stuff. So there are certain basic things which voice training really concentrate on. So that's about voice training. Now we are going into Six Sigma intervention. Six Sigma is a quality initiative, basically a quality improvement methodology. Okay, so I think a lot of people would have heard this name Six Sigma. I think one guy who was very, very famous, and there were a lot of documentaries on it, is that Mumbai Tiffinwala or somebody who is like, they deliver tiffins and they maintain Six Sigma standards. So it is nothing but Six Sigma comes with
It's
a
a
standard.
failure now, just FYI.
Okay, so yeah, okay, fine, maybe, but anyway, so so this Six Sigma comes about. There are like lot of what do you say, standards that Six Sigma says that this is how you need to maintain defects, this is how you need to handle customer centric nature, etc., etc. So it also talks about your defect should be less than 99.9999% or something like that. So you should, your failure rate should be entirely extremely low, right? And it also does have a lot of tools, which includes like statistical analysis tools and various other quantifying other things, various things. But in and
Six
around,
defects
everything
in
is
a
around
million.
quality.
Six
Yeah, six
defects in a
defects.
million maximum.
Correct, correct. And where, why exactly this name came as Six Sigma? It is deriving from our normal distribution, which actually, if you remember, there is a normal distribution that we talked about, that bell curve wala thing, where we were talking about 95% confidence and all those stuff, right? If you take 99.999998%, then that percentage is nearly around 6. The distance between the mean and this end, that is the frag end of this normal distribution, that distance is around 6 standard deviations. So that is how this name came as Six Sigma. Basically, it is like maintaining, I mean, as Prash told, six defects in some million or transactions or million or products that you make, or 99.99998% of accuracy that you have, something like that. Okay, so so that is about this Six Sigma stuff. Okay, so now we are going into market feasibility. Okay, so basically, market feasibility name itself says you are actually checking the market on various aspects. First is, you are just checking the aspect what is happening with the market, so that you don't lose your competitive edge, right? So there is a lot of secondary information that is there, right? So basically, if you search internet, what is happening in certain organizations and all those stuff, so all those secondary data is collected, and you actually analyze that particular data to establish, saying that okay, this is what various companies are doing. Okay, so so there is something called as a need assessment that happens by as part of this particular market analysis or market research or whatever it is, where what you are actually checking is, you are checking geography. So first is there are three types of these need assessments. Okay, one is needs assessment from the point of view of you are studying a particular region and you are studying customers of that region and seeing what they are looking for, right? So that is one way of checking the market. The second way of checking the market is, okay, so what exactly is available, right, and how community is dealing with them. So that is like you are checking the environment, right? So basically what is happening within this country, how people think about particular car, right? What exactly I mean, what environment really demands from the product's point of view. So that is what environmental scans. Basically, you are understanding the environment, you are assessing the market from their particular culture, community, and those kind of aspects. The third type of market analysis that you do is competitive intelligence analysis, where you are checking your competitors, what your competitors are doing, what is their strategy, so that you maintain the competitive edge. Okay, so typically you engage an agency who could probably do this kind of a competitive research. Okay, so you actually engage somebody like McKinsey or so and so person. They would actually check the market and they would actually tell you what exactly your competitors are trying to do. So now after this market feasibility, now we are going into a section which is managing anger. Actually, this is a section which is very, very obvious. Why you need to manage anger? Obviously, you can't really, uh, so so when you talk about anger, it is not about completely getting away with anger. Anger is a very basic reaction, right? In lot of cases, anger is going to help you to move towards specific action. You are worried about something or you are angry about certain things. Basically this gives a basic justification on things what you believe, right? So there are multiple scenarios under which you get anger, somebody like violating the values which you believe, etc., etc. So anger actually justifies your values, right? So that is what I mean. There are positivity about anger, but at the same time you cannot express it in a raw fashion. So you need to manage it and you need to express. It's not about managing, means it is not about suppression. So suppressing anger might actually manifest into hypertension, headache, ulcers, asthma, etc., etc., right? But it is the way, there is actually a way to express. There is a negative expression, there is a positive expression, right? You can, so there is an example, what is a negative expression, right? One of the example is, you make me you make me angry, you are clumsy, you don't follow the instructions. It is, this sentence is more raw in telling, saying that you are clumsy, you don't follow the instruction correctly, etc., etc., right? That might be the case, but the way to that you should actually express is, I'm angry because of the way you are doing the job. That might be more positive way of telling your anger. So basically it is just the expression or managing the anger is what it is trying to say, not to suppress, right? Next we are going into time management. So this is another important question. So there are few questions around time management. So time management, obviously time management is a misnomer. You are not managing time, you are rather managing your priorities in your life. So time is going to be constant 24 hours in a day. That is going to be same for everybody. It is only your priorities that you could actually change so that it is better managed. Okay, so obviously it is limited. So there are various useful ways of managing it, right? So generally people who manage well are more productive, more energetic, less stressed, right? They would do things that they want to do, and they will be, more positive to others as well, right? They feel better about themselves. These are typical characteristics of people who manage their time well. Okay, so setting priority. So there are number of things or tools that you could actually use to do this time management. First and foremost thing that you need to do is set priorities. You need to know what should be the urgent thing, what should can be delayed. So priority setting is one of the must. The second thing that you need to do, you can do is use planning tool. So you could use properly calendar or some other any tool which could help you to actually understand or recommend. Could actually give you that particular planning part of it, right? Get organized. So don't create mess. Basically, keep things organized so that you will find things whatever that you require in time, right? So that is what is the clutter management is another aspect which is required for time management. Schedule your time appropriately. So what it means, when you are actually energetic, do complex jobs because it is easy for you to do them when you are attentive. So similarly, at what time what job needs to be done is what is all about, right? Schedule your time appropriately. Delegate, get help from others. Okay, so basically, if this is the best way of managing the time, where you are delegating things to others so that you buy more time. Stop procrastinating. Postponing things doesn't really help you. So procrastination is about that particular postponing, and I आज का काम कल करे, कल का काम परसों, right? So that is what, stop doing that. Okay, so it reminds me of that Golmaal dialogue. So I'll proceed. I'll talk about that dialogue later. Manage external time wasters. So you need to understand, checking emails always is going to waste your time. So you need to make sure that you check email in specific time, right? You need to actually, you need to schedule your appointments for some visitors which are not so important for you, right? So you need to keep your telephone conversations crisp. So these are all some of the things to avoid or manage external time wasters. Avoid multitasking. So what research says is, when you actually do multitasking, you take more time than you concentrating on a particular job. So avoid multitasking to actually get better productivity is what it says. Stay healthy. Okay, so basically, if you are healthy, then there are more chances that you think you can do things much better in much smarter way. So make sure that you take time out for yourself, maintain your both physical and mental wealth so that your time is managed well. So these are some of the principles or some of the techniques that you could use to actually manage your time. So now we are going into other training programs. Okay, so there are certain interpersonal skills related programs. There are certain problem solving skills programs, ethics related training. So these are all other programs or other training programs that generally happens. Okay, so now we are going into the next section, which is evaluation of a training program. How you are going to evaluate training program? There are actually 5 things that you actually evaluate when it comes to a training program. First thing, you are going to check reaction. So what it means is, you are going to, so it is like from movie hall, as soon as people come, you will keep a mic and ask, how is your movie? How is the movie? How is the movie types? So here, as soon as they come out of training, you keep a mic and say, okay, how is your training? That is what is reaction. Okay. So the second is learning. Okay. So what you are evaluating from the learning point of view, did they really learn or not? Their ability, whether it is changed or not after the training. Job behavior, okay, their ability improved, but what for organization? Are they performing well? Now the productivity improved or not? That is what is job behavior. Next is organization. Okay, so this is at a wider level of what is the use for the organization. Okay, so job behavior is more about, are they actually applying that particular learning, whatever they have. Now, organization is about productivity improvement. Now, last one is ultimate value. Okay, it's like, what is the what is the ultimate value in terms of the contribution of this particular training program, right? It should not be like 10 million spent, but the worth is only 1 million kind of a thing, right? So that is the ultimate value related aspect. So these are the 5 different categories that somebody is going to measure. Okay, I mean, training program needs to be measuring. Next is decision points in planning, training, evaluation. So there are multiple questions that some Dopera or Louis C came up with 8 decision points. How, what exactly are the things that you plan when you are trying to evaluate a training program, right? What is the purpose of evaluation? Why do you want to measure, right? Two, what you're going to measure. Okay, fine. What exactly is the behavior or performance change that you're going to measure, right? What would be the comprehensive evaluation be? Who has the authority or responsibility if I actually do it? Who can actually measure? And also, once I find there is some problem, who is the one who is going to correct it? What are the sources of the data? Where I'm going to get the data? How will I get the data? And how exactly I'm going to analyze and prepare the report? These are some of the 8 questions that needs to be answered before designing a training evaluation program. Okay, so now last section is about methods of evaluation. So you could have questionnaires, you could have interviews, you could have tests, you could have studies, you could have like human resource factors like employee satisfaction that could actually give you the data. You can have cost benefit analysis that is done. You can get the feedback from the participation. So these are some of the methods that you follow to do the evaluation. Okay, so this is unit 4 of block 1 as far as HRD is concerned.